Have you ever sat in a quiet room, listening to the wind rustling through a window, and wondered, why is it that the greatest things in life are often created in silence? You might realize that truly successful people, the ones who reach the pinnacle of their fields, aren't loud or boastful. They work quietly, building value with subtle determination, and by the time the world notices them, their success has already become an inspiring story. We live in a world where attention is often drawn to the flashy, the loud, and the dramatic announcements of success. But have you noticed that the things that truly matter, like a seed sprouting deep within the earth, require silence to grow? The secret to real success isn't in how much you say, but in how much you do, quietly and consistently. Today, I want to invite you on a special journey. Together, we'll explore a timeless principle for creating wealth, not with empty promises or fleeting glory, but through a process of nurturing from deep within. You'll discover why silence is a strength, why calm perseverance matters, and why living with gratitude and contentment forms the foundation of lasting success. Let me share with you 8 principles that have helped countless people around the world achieve not just material wealth but also richness of the soul. These aren't just stories of renowned entrepreneurs or brilliant leaders, but also of everyday individuals, people who quietly built their dreams, step by step. So, are you ready to begin this journey? Chapter 1. Keep your plans private and act in silence. Mike, a 25-year-old young man, was born into a middle-class family. From a young age, Mike always dreamed of success and wealth. However, like many young people, he couldn't contain his excitement whenever he came up with a great idea. Every time a new idea sparked, Mike would eagerly share it with his friends, co-workers, and even his family. He believed that sharing would invite helpful feedback and support from others. But reality didn't align with his expectations. The first time Mike came up with the idea of opening a bubble tea shop, he enthusiastically shared his plan with his close friends. Instead of encouragement, he was met with a barrage of questions. Do you even have enough money for this? The competition is fierce. How will you survive? Or even, are you sure you're cut out for this? These doubts chipped away at Mike's confidence. Eventually, he abandoned the plan, not because the idea lacked potential, but because he lost faith in himself. On another occasion, Mike wanted to start an online business. This time, he didn't stop at telling his friends. He also posted his idea on social media. Within days, a distant acquaintance from his friends list executed a similar concept. They moved faster, presented it more professionally, and Mike could only watch as his idea was essentially taken. These setbacks taught Mike a valuable lesson. Sometimes, silence is the best shield for protecting your ideas. He recalled a story his mother used to tell him as a child. There was a raven who found a piece of cheese and held it tightly in its beak. A fox approached, showering the raven with flattery, saying how lovely its singing voice must be. The moment the raven opened its mouth to boast, the cheese fell, and the fox snatched it away. The raven lost everything simply because it couldn't keep its beak closed. This time, Mike decided to do things differently. He planned to open a small coffee shop in the heart of the city. When his friends asked why he seemed so busy, he simply smiled and kept his plans to himself. For 3 months, Mike quietly researched the market, scouted locations, designed a menu, and prepared everything in secret. On opening day, his friends were stunned to see his cafe, aptly named Serenity, officially open for business. The results were remarkable. It wasn't because Mike's venture was grand or heavily advertised, but because his attention to detail and commitment to quality kept customers coming back. Mike realized that staying silent isn't about hiding. It's about channeling energy into turning ideas into reality. Chapter 2, Humility, Learning, and Letting Go of Ego. After Mike's cafe had successfully stabilized and began to attract a loyal customer base, he encountered a new challenge. Mike started to feel overly confident in his achievements. He believed that his initial success meant he didn't need to learn or adapt further. One day, One of his baristas suggested adjusting the sweetness level of a new coffee drink to better suit customer preferences. Mike dismissed the suggestion outright. "I know what works," he said. "I started this business from scratch. I understand my customers better than anyone." The employee walked away quietly, but Mike's rigid attitude left a sour taste in the air. Mike's ego began to cloud his judgment, making him blind to opportunities for growth. While the cafe was doing fine, it wasn't expanding as much as it could have, and he began to notice a slight drop in returning customers. He brushed it off, thinking, "I'm the founder. I know what I'm doing." One afternoon, Mike ran into Mr. Lawson, an old family friend, during a grocery run. Mr. Lawson was a seasoned businessman who had built and sold several successful companies. Despite his impressive achievements, he was known for his humble demeanor and down-to-earth lifestyle. As they chatted, Mike couldn't resist boasting about his cafe's early success. "I've built it from nothing," he said. "It's a testament to my vision and hard work." Mr. Lawson smiled gently and replied, "That's wonderful, Mike, but let me share a story with you. Once, there was a wise king who was known far and wide for his intelligence. But the king had one flaw: he was incredibly arrogant. He believed he knew everything and often dismissed the advice of others. One day, during a royal journey, the king visited a small village where he met an elderly farmer. The farmer, noticing the king's proud demeanor, asked, "Your Majesty, do you know how to plant rice?" The king scoffed, "Of course, I am the king. There's nothing I don't know." The farmer nodded politely but said nothing more. Over the years, the kingdom faced several bad harvests. The king, despite his intelligence, couldn't understand why his fields were failing. Eventually, he sought the help of the same old farmer. The farmer revealed simple techniques for selecting seeds and caring for crops that the king had never considered. It turned out that the king's arrogance had blinded him to the knowledge he lacked. By the time he humbled himself and learned, much of the kingdom's wealth had been lost. The story left Mike speechless. He saw himself in the king arrogant, dismissive, and resistant to feedback. While his cafe wasn't failing, he realized he could be limiting its potential through his stubbornness. "Thanks for sharing that story, Mr. Lawson," Mike said quietly. "I guess I've been acting like that king." Mr. Lawson nodded. "We all fall into that trap sometimes. The key is recognizing it and being willing to change. Remember, even the most successful people are constantly learning. Success isn't a destination, it's a journey." Determined to shift his mindset, Mike started taking small but meaningful steps. First, he called a meeting with his staff, encouraging them to share their honest feedback. First, they hesitated, unsure if Mike truly wanted their input, but as he listened without interrupting or dismissing their ideas, the atmosphere began to change. One barista suggested introducing a loyalty program to reward regular customers. Another proposed offering dairy-free milk options to cater to health-conscious patrons. Mike not only implemented these ideas but also acknowledged the employees who suggested them, creating a sense of collaboration and trust. Realizing he needed to update his business skills, Mike enrolled in a business management course. He learned about customer engagement, market trends, and the importance of adapting to an ever-changing landscape. Mike also began reading books by successful entrepreneurs and attending networking events where he could exchange ideas with other business owners. Through these experiences, Mike started to understand the power of humility. Letting go of his ego allowed him to learn from others and adapt to new challenges. The cafe flourished as a result, gaining new customers and retaining loyal ones. Months later, as he watched customers enjoying their drinks and chatting with his staff, Mike thought back to the story of the king and the farmer. He realized how much he had grown, not just as a business owner, but as a person. His success wasn't just about profit margins or customer counts. It was about fostering an environment where ideas, big or small, could thrive. Mike's journey taught him that true leadership isn't about knowing everything. It's about being willing to listen, learn, and grow. Letting go of ego doesn't diminish your worth. It expands your potential. Chapter 3: Perseverance and Overcoming Adversity. Shortly after Mike's cafe began to thrive, the world was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. With lockdowns in place and streets deserted, local coffee shops, including Mike's, saw a steep decline in customers. For the first time since its opening, Mike had to temporarily close the cafe doors. The weight of uncertainty loomed over him, and for a moment, he thought about giving up on his dream altogether. Fear and doubt took hold, making him question if all his efforts had been in vain. One sleepless night, Mike found himself recalling a lesson from nature that his mother had shared with him as a child. The story of the young eagle. A young eagle, preparing for its first flight, stood hesitantly on the edge of its nest. Below lay a vast expanse of the unknown. As the eagle spread its wings and leaped, a strong gust of wind pushed it backward. The force frightened the eagle, and it almost retreated to the safety of its nest. But instead of turning back, it leaned into the wind and flapped harder. To its surprise, the same opposing wind lifted it higher, carrying it above the treetops with newfound strength. This memory stirred something deep within Mike. He realized that the challenges brought on by the pandemic were like the wind. It could either knock him down or propel him to greater heights. Choosing not to give up, Mike decided to adapt instead of retreat. With the cafe temporarily closed, Mike pivoted to online sales. He quickly set up an e-commerce site to sell coffee beans, branded merchandise, and brewing equipment, recognizing the importance of staying connected with his customers. He became active on social media, sharing tips on brewing coffee at home. To engage his audience further, he started hosting live-stream tutorials, teaching people how to recreate cafe-quality drinks in their kitchens. Additionally, Mike implemented a streamlined delivery service, ensuring customers could enjoy their favorite drinks without leaving their homes. To his surprise, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Loyal customers appreciated the effort, and word of mouth brought in new customers who were eager to try Mike's offerings. The initial months were grueling. There were logistical challenges, late nights, and moments of frustration, but Mike pressed on, reminding himself of the eagle's flight. Each setback was an opportunity to soar higher. 6 months later, as restrictions began to ease, Mike reopened his cafe with a newfound confidence. Not only had he managed to retain his loyal customer base, but the online outreach had expanded his brand's visibility, attracting even more people. His cafe was no longer just a neighborhood spot. It was now a recognized name in the community. Looking back, Mike felt a deep sense of gratitude, not just for the success but for the resilience the challenges had brought out in him. The pandemic had tested his limits, but it also proved that perseverance, adaptability, and a willingness to learn could turn even the darkest moments into opportunities. Chapter 4: Playing the Fool to Observe. Several months later, Mike found himself in negotiations with a potential new business partner. The opportunity seemed promising, but Mike remembered a lesson he had learned from a classic tale. Sometimes, staying quiet and observing reveals more than speaking ever could. Instead of rushing to assert his expertise during the meeting, Mike chose a different approach. He stayed calm, asked thoughtful questions, and let the other party lead the conversation. As the discussion unfolded, Mike noticed subtle hints that his potential partners were facing financial difficulties. They needed the partnership far more than they had initially let on. Armed with this insight, Mike carefully crafted his proposals to ensure mutually beneficial terms while securing a favorable deal for himself. The negotiation ended with both sides feeling satisfied. But Mike knew he had gained the upper hand by listening and observing rather than dominating the conversation. Mike's strategy reminded him of a historical tale he had read about Zhuge Liang, the brilliant Chinese strategist from the Three Kingdoms period. Zhuge Liang famously pretended to be weak to outmaneuver his rival Meng Huo. By understanding his opponent's psychology, Zhuge Liang didn't just win battles, he earned their respect and eventual surrender without unnecessary conflict. Inspired by this story, Mike began applying the same principles in his business dealings. He learned to step back, observe, and assess situations before taking action. This approach not only helped him make better decisions but also deepened his relationships with partners and clients. By showing humility and restraint, he often gained more than he would have by aggressively asserting his power. Mike's journey, from overcoming the pandemic's challenges to mastering the art of negotiation, highlighted the importance of adaptability, humility, and observation. He realized that success wasn't just about ambition or hard work. It also required the wisdom to adapt, the courage to persevere, and the patience to understand others. As he continued to grow his business, Mike carried these lessons with him. Whether he was facing a global crisis or a high-stakes negotiation, he knew that the ability to stay grounded, learn from every situation, and remain open to new perspectives would always lead him forward. Chapter 5: Doing Good and Cultivating Virtue. Mike's initial success with his cafe provided him with financial stability for the first time in years. He no longer felt the constant pressure of struggling to make ends meet. However, this newfound stability didn't make him complacent. One evening, as he was balancing the books, he overheard news about a neighboring family who had lost everything in a house fire. A strange but powerful urge welled up inside him, a call to help. Mike was reminded of a story his grandfather used to tell him when he was a child. Once, there was a poor woman who stumbled upon a bag of gold coins while on her way to the market. Despite her poverty, she didn't keep the money for herself. Instead, she sought out the owner and returned the bag. Years later, the man who had lost the gold, deeply moved by her honesty and kindness, sought her out. Grateful for her selflessness, he gave her a job and supported her family, enabling her children to receive an education and escape poverty. That story had always stayed with Mike, and now, this meaning felt more profound than ever. He realized that acts of kindness don't just help others. They plant seeds of goodness that often yield rewards in unexpected ways. Inspired, Mike decided to donate 5% of his cafe's monthly revenue to helping those in need. He started small, discreetly offering support to local families struggling with poverty or unforeseen crises. First, Mike kept his charitable efforts quiet, not seeking recognition. Over time, however, his regular customers noticed. They admired his efforts and began contributing on their own, dropping spare change into a collection jar he'd placed at the counter. What began as a small personal initiative grew into a collective mission shared by the community. One day, a loyal customer who happened to be a successful entrepreneur heard about Mike's charitable work. Impressed by his integrity and compassion, the customer struck up a deeper conversation with Mike. That connection eventually led to a partnership that allowed Mike to expand his cafe into a chain. Reflecting on the experience, Mike realized a powerful truth. What you give to the world often finds its way back to you, sometimes in ways you'd never imagine. His acts of kindness not only enriched the lives of others, but also helped him grow personally and professionally. Chapter 6: Staying Calm and Resilient. As Mike's cafe began to flourish, not everyone was happy for his success. A nearby competitor, feeling threatened by his growing popularity, started spreading rumors that Mike's cafe used low-quality ingredients to cut costs. The false rumors spread quickly, hurting Mike's reputation and causing a noticeable dip in revenue. Some customers even stopped coming altogether. First, Mike was filled with anger. His initial impulse was to fight back, publicly refuting the accusations and calling out the competitor. But he paused, recalling a story about a historical figure, Chow Chow, known for his cunning and composure. In the tale, Chow Chow, a powerful warlord, was once served poisoned wine during a banquet. Fully aware of the danger, he remained calm and unshaken. He raised the cup and drank it, showing no sign of fear or hesitation. His unflinching demeanor made his enemies second-guess their actions, unsure of how to proceed. Ultimately, Chow Chow's composure saved his life and cemented his reputation as a formidable leader. Inspired by this story, Mike decided to handle the situation with grace instead of reacting impulsively. He organized a small open house for his loyal customers, inviting them to tour the cafe's kitchen and see the high standards of quality he maintained. During the event, Mike personally explained his sourcing process and demonstrated the care that went into preparing each cup of coffee. To thank his guests, he gifted them premium coffee beans as a gesture of gratitude. The transparency and sincerity of his actions quickly turned the tide. Customers who had been doubtful returned, reassured by his openness. Word spread about his commitment to quality, and the rumors lost their power. In fact, the controversy ended up attracting new customers who were curious to see what made Mike's cafe stand out. By choosing to remain calm and address the problem with integrity, Mike not only salvaged his reputation but also strengthened it. He learned that challenges and setbacks are inevitable in any journey, but how you respond to them defines your character and shapes your future. Through these experiences, Mike grew more confident in his ability to navigate the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. He understood that resilience isn't about avoiding difficulties but about facing them with clarity, calmness, and determination. Mike's journey, from cultivating kindness to navigating rumors, became a testament to the power of values in business and life. His ability to combine compassion with composure not only earned him respect but also solidified the foundation of his cafe's success. Each challenge became an opportunity to grow, and each act of goodness built a legacy that went far beyond profits. Chapter 7. Quietly Cultivating Health. After enduring several turbulent years, Mike began to notice that his body was paying the price for his relentless work ethic. He often felt fatigued, irritable, and at times, unable to focus on even simple tasks. One evening, as he reflected on his packed schedule, it struck him that health was the most valuable asset anyone could possess. Without it, success would mean little. Determined to make a change, Mike committed to a healthier lifestyle. Each morning, he began jogging for 30 minutes in the park near his home. After his run, he practiced yoga to relax his mind and body. He also overhauled his diet, cutting out fast food and alcohol in favor of fresh, wholesome meals. His friends soon noticed the transformation. "You look so much healthier these days," they remarked. Mike would simply smile and respond, "I've been taking better care of myself, that's all." One evening, Mike stumbled across a story about Zhuge Liang, the legendary Chinese strategist. Despite the overwhelming demands of military campaigns, Zhuge Liang prioritized his health through meditation and a simple diet. His disciplined approach allowed him to remain calm and make sound decisions, even under the immense pressure of war. This story resonated deeply with Mike. He realized that, like Zhuge Liang, his own effectiveness as a leader depended on his ability to maintain physical and mental balance. From that point forward, Mike made a conscious effort to balance work and rest. He also decided not to flaunt his new habits. Let the results speak for themselves, he thought. Over time, Mike's commitment to his health began to show not only in his physical appearance but also in his work. He found himself more energetic, focused, and patient with both his employees and customers. Tasks that had once felt overwhelming became manageable. More importantly, he felt a sense of inner peace that he hadn't experienced in years. Through these quiet but impactful changes, Mike learned an invaluable lesson. Taking care of your body isn't just a personal investment, it's a cornerstone of sustainable success. Chapter 8. Contentment and Knowing When Enough is Enough. After years of hard work, Mike had built a thriving business, with 2 new branches of his cafe and a reputation as a respected entrepreneur. He had achieved financial security and recognition beyond what he had once imagined. Yet, instead of feeling fulfilled, he found himself wondering, why am I working so hard? Is money really the ultimate goal? These questions gnawed at him, prompting Mike to reflect on what truly mattered. One story in particular came to mind, a tale he had read years ago about a fisherman. In the story, a fisherman lived a simple life, catching just enough fish each day to feed his family. One day, a businessman approached him, suggesting he expand his operations, catch more fish, sell them for profit, and eventually become a millionaire. The fisherman asked, "And what would I do after that?" The businessman replied, "Then you could retire, relax, and enjoy life." The fisherman smiled and said, "But I'm already enjoying my life." Mike couldn't stop thinking about the story. He realized that, like the fisherman, he had been chasing an elusive idea of success, forgetting to appreciate the life he already had. He decided it was time to make some changes. Instead of focusing solely on growing his business empire, Mike began to prioritize the simpler joys in life. He spent more time with his family, explored his love for reading, traveled to new places, and continued his commitment to health and wellness. While he still managed his business, the pressure to constantly prove himself faded away. Mike's decision to slow down and focus on what truly mattered brought him a profound sense of peace. He began sharing his philosophy with his friends and employees, often reminding them, happiness doesn't come from having more. It comes from appreciating what you already have. Over time, Mike became a living testament to the power of Tri-TUC, the Buddhist principle of contentment and gratitude. His life, once defined by relentless ambition, transformed into one of balance, simplicity, and fulfillment. Mike's journey taught him many valuable lessons. He had faced challenges, learned to adapt, and cultivated both his business and himself. But perhaps the most profound lesson was this: knowing when to say enough is the key to true happiness. By embracing contentment and gratitude, Mike found a deeper, more meaningful success not just in his career but in life as a whole. We've journeyed together through a path where the 8 principles of quiet success have been revealed. From keeping plans private to persevering through challenges. From prioritizing health to embracing contentment. I hope each story has left its mark on you, but more than the principles themselves, what I hope you'll take away is this realization. Success is not a destination. It's a journey we undertake every single day. You don't have to transform your life overnight. True success doesn't come from flashy leaps but from steady, deliberate steps. Remember the story of the fisherman who lived simply, catching only enough fish to feed his family? Or the image of the eagle soaring higher because of the resistance it faced from the wind? These lessons remind us that everything meaningful is built through patience, perseverance, and a soul that finds joy in what it already has. Now, let me ask you this. If tomorrow marked the start of a new journey, what would you do to make it different from today? Perhaps it's a small decision to listen more, to act with quiet persistence, or to begin caring for your health. But I believe it's those small, intentional changes that lead to the most profound differences in our lives. Remember, success isn't reserved for those who crave the spotlight. It belongs to those who dare to act in silence, who never stop learning, and who cultivate a strong and steady soul. There's no need to rush. Just keep moving forward, one small step at a time, and you'll find the light of success waiting for you at the end of your journey. So, are you ready to start your own path? I'll be here, walking with you. Believe in your own strength, and begin to take action starting today.